On June 11th this year, a 2006 SR-20 November 8580 Delta crashed into a house approximately 1,500 feet east of the departure end of runway 18 at Greater Portsmouth Regional Airport, shortly after taking off at approximately 10:45 local time. The 76-year-old pilot of Delaware, Ohio, was killed. Two children inside the house escaped without injury, and there were no other injuries on the ground. The pilot had flown from his home base, Delaware Municipal Airport, to Portsmouth that morning, a flight of about 41 minutes, reportedly to meet others for breakfast. And who doesn't like a great fly-in breakfast? He was returning home when the accident occurred during the takeoff and initial climb. Weather was reported as visual flight conditions with light winds from the southwest and does not appear to have been a factor. Today, we are going to ask our Dean of Aviation Safety, Mark Waddell, to look at the facts available and what every pilot can learn from them. Before we go to Mark, if you'd like more information about the Cirrus Owners and Pilots Association, free Cirrus Embark training, Cirrus Approach, or the COPA Pilot Proficiency Program, we have put links in the description below. Now, let's bring in Mark for the details. Mark?
Thank you, Chuck. The aircraft involved in this accident is a Cirrus SR20 manufactured in 2006. It was registered on January 15, 2026. The pilot resides in Delaware, Ohio. His age was given as 76 years old, and he has a previous accident history. Last year, in February of 2025, he crashed a Cirrus SR22 after getting the plane iced up and attempting an emergency landing. In that investigation, the NTSB found as probable cause the pilot's flight into previously forecasted freezing rain, which resulted in ice accretion, reduced forward visibility, and a subsequent landing undershoot. What had happened was the pilot had taken off without a current weather briefing, and there was freezing rain and freezing drizzle that he encountered during the flight in an unprotected aircraft. The experience that he reported at that time of the accident, when he was 74 years old, was originally given as 1,500 total hours and 700 hours in the SR-22, and that was subsequently amended to 1,500 hours in the SR-22. It's odd because they left his airplane single engine time as 700 hours. So it's not clear exactly how much time he had, but all of it appeared to be in the SR-22. Status as of now is the NTSB has recorded loss of control in flight during the takeoff phase. They have not recorded any pre-accident mechanical failures, and a preliminary report is in progress where hopefully we will learn more. He had flown down to the airport in the morning, leaving Delaware Municipal Airport, his home airport, and arriving about 41 minutes later, local time, at Greater Portsmouth Regional Airport, where it's understood that he met up for breakfast, and the accident occurred when he was returning home. His last recorded position on the way down was over 1,600 feet AGL. There's poor ADSB coverage in this area, and so we simply don't have tracking data showing his landing at Portsmouth or the subsequent takeoff where he crashed. He crashed into a house just east of the airport. Reportedly, there were two children in the house that escaped without injury, and thankfully there were no injuries on the ground. However, the pilot died in the crash. Here's what we know so far about the accident circumstances. He was taking off from Portsmouth Airport about 10:45 a.m. local time. The weather was reported as visual flight conditions. There were light winds out of the southwest, so weather doesn't appear to be a factor here. The crash site shown by the arrow is about 1,500 feet east of the departure end of runway 18. The airport does not have good ADSB coverage, as I mentioned, and so all we can infer is that the aircraft did not climb high enough to be picked up on ADSB. So we don't have tracking data showing the actual accident sequence. In addition, the pilot's training and experience flying the Cirrus SR20 is not yet known. What it appears from everything we see so far is the pilot may have been attempting a takeoff from runway 18, that would be to the south, and we know he was heading back to Delaware County to his north. So it's possible that he started an early turnout to the left after takeoff. It'll be interesting to learn from the NTSB whether he had raised flaps prematurely, which could affect his stall speed. And right now, it's coded as loss of control in flight. It's reading like probably a stall spin on departure. And hopefully, by the time the preliminary report is issued, we'll know more about this accident. Over the past 6 years, 70% of fatal accidents in our fleet have happened in or near an airport traffic pattern. Most of these happen due to loss of control in flight. In the takeoff and initial climb phase, we've had 59 accidents, of which 10 were fatal. We encourage all Cirrus pilots to get regular, recurrent training in the hope that they can avoid similar accidents. Back to you, Chuck.
Thanks, Mark. It's important to stress how little we know at this stage. Due to limited ADSB coverage in the area, no tracking data exists for the landing at Portsmouth or the subsequent accident takeoff. So, the accident sequence remains unobserved. The NTSB has coded the accident as a loss of control in flight, and no pre-accident mechanical failures have been noted. Based on the limited facts available, a southbound departure on runway 18 with the pilot's home base to the north, it's possible the pilot began an early turn after takeoff, which could be consistent with a stall spin scenario. But this is speculative pending further investigation. Whether the flaps were retracted prematurely and what the pilot's experience level was specifically in the SR20 are both unknown at this time. We'll know more once the NTSB's preliminary report is released and expect another report from us at that time. We'd also note, with appropriate caution, that this pilot was involved in an earlier accident last year in February 2025, when his Cirrus SR22 encountered forecast freezing rain and ice accretion, leading to reduced visibility and a landing undershoot. The NTSB's probable cause finding in that case cited flight into previously forecast icing conditions without a current weather briefing. Seems like questionable aeronautical decision making for sure. His reported flight experience at that time, originally 1,500 total hours and 700 hours in the SR22, was later amended to 1,500 hours in the SR22 alone. This leaves some ambiguity about his actual total flight time. We mentioned this only as a part of the public record, not to draw conclusions about this separate and still unexplained accident. What we can say with more confidence is that this accident fits a familiar and sobering pattern in the Cirrus fleet. Over the past 6 years, 70% of the fatal accidents have occurred in or near the airport traffic pattern, with loss of control in flight cited as the leading cause. In the takeoff and initial climb phase alone, the fleet has seen 59 accidents, 10 of them fatal. As always, we encourage all Cirrus pilots to pursue regular, recurrent training from a qualified, experienced, Cirrus standardized instructor pilot. I cannot overemphasize this. Not as a judgment on this pilot or this accident, but as a standing safeguard against the kind of loss of control scenarios that continue to affect our community. I look forward to seeing you on the forum, or better yet, at the next CPPP. I'm Chuck Cali, and this has been First Takes.